Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Today, more than 100 people were killed only in one day since the midnight of, since the midnight, yeah. Um, Last night was one of the bloodiest nights since the operation started. One of the worst things that happened last night is the shelling of the main planet for generating electricity. So the news are talking about no electricity in Gaza for more than 1 year. Electricity at no spot in Gaza has electricity. Generators, UPS, batteries, external batteries for the phones. We're trying to cook them, but it's not working. Now I'm dreaming to have a hot shower, and it's not even, I can't think of it. Yeah, my neighbor house was bombed maybe 4 days ago, something like that. Um, and it was so close that I got the window of my room broken. I live with my family, my extended family, where I have so many children in the building, which is the main challenging point. I would tell you that it's true that during the nighttime the shelling is more, but also in the daytime you can't trust any or guarantee that any place would be bombed in any moment. So it's a bit risky and tricky that you feel it's safe because the bombardments are fewer in number. So you start to move and then suddenly you find explosions around. So it's still risky and dangerous even in the daytime. But as a journalist, I always go around, I always go cover, but I can't deny it's dangerous. But the difference is that in the daytime, you go around and you work, but in the nighttime when I go, and I'm so tired I can't sleep because of how violent the situation is. Every single night, yeah. But the volume is different. Last night was one of the worst nights. Non-stop shelling, non-stop bombardment. Even they were close. They were all in the city. So it was very violent. Also, there were flares that turned in the night time into a day. You could see the blue sky during the midnight, which was so scary and something that we never witnessed before. So I was thinking if I would be a survivor in the in the next few hours. So when the morning came, I was like, okay, I'm a survivor for today. Yeah, I was in Gaza, but I was still a student in 2008, and I covered the 2012 war. I would say that this one is much worse, actually. Why? Because in the first one, Israel put a goal in front of its eyes to destroy Hamas, to stop the rockets being fired from Gaza, and this didn't happen. However, the war took 22 full days. So today Israel is doing more than what it did in 2008, so it can achieve the same exact goal, which is damaging the infrastructure of Hamas and stopping the rockets being fired from Gaza. So the ground invasion was much worse. The houses of civilians that were demolished and reduced into rubble were much, much more. Targeting the houses of civilians, targeting different places all over the Gaza. The volume was much, much worse. So I can tell that this war is more violent than the 2008. Yeah, this would have to come to an end anyways. This war will have an end. But I believe that this war won't end without a decent ceasefire that will achieve the demands of 1.8 million Palestinians living in Gaza. At least lifting the blockade that has been killing people for more than 7 years. the blackout crisis, the unemployment crisis that have been killing people slowly for more than 7 years, I guess now should be the time for people to have a decent life, for people to have electricity 24/7, for people to have medical supplies, for people to be able to go in and out Gaza. So I don't think 1,000 people would be killed and their blood would go just in vain. I believe that this time should, bring some change for these people. But I don't think that it's gonna bring an eternal peace between the two sides, because this is not all about it. We still have the issue of prisoners, the issue of settlement. We still have so many other issues that's not even sorted out between both sides, and I don't think this could bring any eternal peace between neither Palestinians in Gaza or even Palestinians in the West Bank.
Hmm. I would tell you that Hamas is gaining more support because of the operation. People think that Hamas is representing them well by asking for their rights, for asking for their demands. And as I told you, people have been suffering for more than 7 years, shortage of medicine, electricity, no access in or out Gaza. As I said, Hamas is gaining more support at this time of the offensive. Why? Because people have been suffering for more than 7 years, and they need a strong partner to speak on their behalf, to ask for their demands. And when Hamas says we don't want a ceasefire, that won't end the blockade, won't let the raw materials in, so people are, supportive to this trend, because people are the ones who are suffering. People are the ones who are subjected to collective punishment because they elect Hamas. So I would tell you that yes, even like before that time of war, you maybe people won't support Hamas as much as they supported during the time of war, and I can understand this. I mean, it's something. It makes a sense to me. I don't think that's right because I saw so many civilian houses that have been targeted, and I know there was no fighting was beside the area. Also, there's some important point that I should shed light on is that Gaza is a very densely populated area. So if I assume that there is a fighter or a rocket being hidden here, you can't hit the building to kill a fighter and kill 100 people along with this militant. I mean, if I yeah if I want to go with this assumption, you can't kill 20 children, for example, because you want to kill a militant. But I would also say that because most of the houses that were targeted they belonged only to civilians. And yeah, one good example is what happened in Shijaiya. Tens of houses were reduced to rubble. Just it was like a collective shelling, collective, artillery missiles were fired directly to the neighborhood. I mean, one complete neighborhood was destroyed, and there is no way all of these houses belong to militants. Maybe the IDF calls some of the houses before targeting them, but that doesn't. This is not the general case because I know so many houses that weren't, warned before they were hit. Today I was at the hospital and I saw maybe 7-year child who had shrapnel inside his stomach and his head, and I knew that the house wasn't warned, because if the house was warned, then they could have leave. And I saw the child, he had shrapnels everywhere, and he lost his sister, who was only 1 year old. So if the IDF called this family, then they would have been affected or harmed. It's a different issue. You know why? Because I can't ask the Israeli army why you are saving money to buy weapons instead of, for example, sheltering the homeless. I can't say why you are not using this money to raise the level of education. This is a different issue. The right of self-defense is one main right and one main issue for a country to have. So if Hamas is trying to save money for defending 1.8 million Palestinians in Gaza, I can't ask like why not to give us the materials to build our house, because these are two different issues and they are as important as each other. This is what I believe in. I never heard. I mean, I was never sure that these rockets, fell inside Gaza. I hear only the Israeli army saying this, but I do admit that these rockets are not, advanced, or they weren't made in a perfect way because they were, made locally. The U.S. is not supporting the Hamas fighters to have F-16s and advanced weapons. This is why the rockets are still need to be improved and stuff like that. But I can never take these narratives as granted and to say that yeah they fell in Gaza, because I never saw I myself I never saw a local rocket fell inside Gaza. After hundreds of children were killed, after Israel continued to expand the settlements in the West Bank, in Jerusalem, after Israel is, putting more Palestinians in jails under what's called the administrative detention. After Israel, Abbas has been negotiating with Israelis for decades, and nothing is changing. I don't think that Israel wants peace. I myself, and people here in Gaza as well, because as I told you, settlements never stop, detention never stop, attacking Gaza never stop, uh, putting 1.8 million Palestinians in Gaza under blockade that will indicate any peace, any wish for peace. So no, people Israel wants. People inside Gaza understand why, because as I told you, it has been more than 7 years. Palestinians here are subjected to collective punishment. They cannot even go outside Gaza. Can you think of that? They don't have electricity. So I can't think that these people would stay silent and do nothing. Because as I told you, the PA is negotiating, Hamas is fighting, and let's see who would succeed, because negotiations made nothing. I mean, the peace process made nothing and achieved nothing for Palestinians. Settlements expanding never stopped. However, you know, negotiations was at some point was still in process, and settlement expanding was still in process. So if Hamas took the second solution of fighting, or trying to get a solution, an armed solution, I just can understand it, and people here can understand it. I'm not sure if you know, but Hamas recently has accepted the 1967 borders, and I don't think there is nothing more for Israelis to ask for. But as I told you, Israel keeps punishing people in Gaza for electing Hamas. I would give you an example. In 2012, Hamas signed a ceasefire with Israel, brokered by Egypt, and Israel didn't commit to the ceasefire. Rockets were still fired, from from a while to while. Fishermen have been being shot every single day. Farmers near the buffer zone. So even when Hamas tries to make a compromise to live side by side, Israel never commits to any ceasefire or any agreement. It's pushing the unity government already. Why? Because the two factions knew that they, but, I mean, if they are united enough, it's the only solution for them to grant a decent life for Palestinians in both Gaza and the West Bank. And as you can see today, a delegation from Hamas and Fatah in the West Bank are in Cairo to discuss the ceasefire, because at the end of the day they are Palestinians, and a unity government is the solution for all what's happening. And if there was a unity solution, unity government, I mean, in the first place, I don't think this war would ever exist. This time it's all the fault of Israel. Why? Because after the kidnapping and the killing of the three settlers, Israel arrested tens of Palestinian prisoners who were released in the Gilad Shalit swap. And also there was an escalation in Gaza. A couple of sites were targeted. So this couldn't be met with a silence from Hamas. Hamas had to take a reaction. Hamas had to retaliate. But if you remember, the story all began when the three settlers were kidnapped, and there is no single evidence it was Hamas behind the kidnapping. For the first question, I think it would be super rude if Israel contributes to reconstructing Gaza after they damaged it and they reduced tens of houses into rubble. So I just can't find. It doesn't have a sense if Israel would contribute in reconstructing the country after they damaged it, and they know when they hit the Shujaiya, they knew they are demolishing a complete neighborhood. For the second question, for sure, yeah, there would be an access for the building materials to get into the country, because you can't think of the large number of people who are going homeless now. We never had homeless in Gaza. Now we had thousands of homeless, thousands of displaced people. This can't stay forever. Materials should get in. And I expect the regional support, maybe Qatar, maybe Emirates. I expect donations from everywhere, but I don't think even Palestinians here would accept any contribution from Israel to build their houses. What happened is that it's not like Israel left the Gaza Strip and then khalas, they left people to live an amazing life. What happened is that Israel left the Gaza Strip and it's not occupying it directly anymore, but it kept directing the borders, directing the naval, I mean, the nautical, if you know what I mean. I mean the sea, yeah, and it's controlling everything. So Israel actually didn't leave the Gaza Strip and left it free. It like made something that's even more torturing. That Israel is occupying us, but we can't see it. I can see Israeli soldiers, but I can see that I can't leave Gaza. I can't get raw materials, and I can't get medicine. So it's even much harder. So what happened is that it was a direct occupation, and then it became like indirect occupation, and that's it. So what happened after that, from the clashes between the two sides, is something that I can understand. Yeah, I think it's very important to talk to people from the other side of the conflict, because I always see that they are totally misled by what's the media is presenting for them. They don't know about the human beings living in Gaza. They think that only Hamas lives in Gaza, but there are like human beings in Gaza. There are children who are being killed every day. There are young guys and girls who are being killed before going to schools, before building their futures. So I just want to raise this humanitarian and this sense of the normal people who live in Gaza, and they just who are asking for nothing but to live a decent life with borders open, with decent jobs, with the very, very normal demands. So I think that people in Israel should know that people in Gaza are not alien. I think if you just stand and admit that Israel is committing crimes that against the humanitarian international law, this would be enough. If you think that Israel is talking by your names and killing children by the names of Jews everywhere, you would be doing something. Just the idea of you inside dealing with people in Gaza as civilians who are subjected to killing and murder every single day, that would end. Because as I told you, Israel is doing this by the name of Jewish people. And I'm not sure like if someone can accept all this damage to happen by his name, this is the issue. This is the problem. So the change should come from the Jews in the Israelis themselves. Thanks for hosting me.